Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS.
Kick all the way, and Denver's going to the AFC Championship game.
Hello again, Broncos Country. Welcome to another edition of Bourbon, Broncos And No B.S. My name's 𝐂𝐞𝐦𝐿, and I got the most awesome, most coolest dude ever. David, how you doing, man?
Oh, you're talking about me. I'm good. I didn't expect all that warm of a welcome, but I guess I should have when I'm here with my good friend 𝐂𝐿. Ready to talk some Broncos with you on a Tuesday night, buddy.
Well, let's get into it, man. I think the biggest news that I'm gathering that it's a very hot topic right now because I keep seeing it pop up on my feed, and maybe that just I don't know, but it seems to be a growing topic anyway, in that the contract between the NFL Referee Association and the NFL is about to expire. So obviously the NFL, in all of its wisdom, if you want to call it that, said, we saw, and David, I'm going to kind of take what this is credit to you. We saw how well this worked, or, how big of a failure it was the last time this happened. Let's do it again, but maybe just try it a little differently. So David, give me your opinion and kind of some background more on what this looks like, what this entails. I know we've heard, the NFL is looking at hiring some replacement refs already. And so where are we at, man?
Where we're at basically is that we have a little bit of an impasse. The referees union is standing firm on some pretty sizable demands. The NFL is, of course, a nonprofit organization, but a nonprofit organization run by billionaires who didn't give their money get their money by just caving in on negotiations when things got a little bit rocky. So that's the most simple way to put it right now. I believe we've got a deadline coming up on May 31st or June 1st. But yeah, the league is clearly preparing to bring in college refs and referees from other sources. Kev, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, they have approved a rule change for 2026. If there is a work stoppage from the actual referees union, they will be able to New York will be able to buzz into any NFL game and correct any clear and obvious, quote unquote, officiating mistakes on the field in real time. The league has to be trying to avoid a situation like that, the infamous 2012 season. The last time we lost the refs during a season, there was the touchdown interception simultaneous call that went viral for the time. The NFL doesn't want to have that again. So they are creating a little bit of oversight with that New York rule to give themselves some backup. Obviously, they hope that the referees are back in the game. My position on this has been the same as it's always been: make NFL referee a full-time job. But that, it's going to be a really interesting storyline to see as we get a little bit closer and closer, especially to hold up to like what Major League Baseball is doing with the ABS system right now, and how it is trying to work those things in side by side with human umpires, and how that's going. It could be a really fascinating time to see how this is adjudicated.
There's definitely a interesting path forward here. They very well just from this could identify potential technologies to start investing in, start looking at and developing and everything, right? That when this happens again, because I'm sure this will happen again the next go around, that they have an even better system in place, right? Because the NFL is not, they recognize that they don't hold the leverage here. right, compared to the ref association. Those guys, they're holding the leverage. They have all the cards and everything, and the NFL doesn't want to be in that position, right? So they're going to do everything they can for the next go around. Now they're calling the shots. But what I am interested to hear more about is this idea of NFL, the New York guys buzzing in anytime there's a clear and obvious penalty situation, right? Because if we're the ones saying, hey, that should have been a penalty, we're all going to be screaming and hooting and hollering, why isn't New York getting involved? While the other team is like, no, of course that wasn't a penalty. Why would they get involved? And you're going to have this whole other realm of what constitutes them willing to step in versus, other times where it's just, their game situation, especially later on in the season where they just let them play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So it's interesting, man. So what's your take on that?
Right. And yeah, it's going to be a whole nother layer to it. Just like you're saying, it's going to be another layer to, well, now you've got who's watching the watchdog, who's policing New York to see that these games are getting, the equal amount of officiating. Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what's going on. It's almost as fascinating a storyline to follow as the NFL's new contract negotiations this year, which is something that I have been having to keep up with at work and is a full-time job in and of itself.
I bet. Yeah. I can't imagine. I always say, especially when people ask me about other teams, I'm like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I barely have enough brain space to hold my own team's information, right? Anything past that, so I'm like, I don't understand how people are into multiple NFL teams and college football and can talk all these draft players. And I'm just like, until they get onto the Broncos, I can't say much about them at all.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's interesting, man. Anyway, anything else from these rule changes that kind of stands out to you? Nothing. I haven't read too much into detail in any of them, but because I know there were 5 total.
No, I know that Sean Payton was specifically had strong opinions about one rule change that I believe got passed or didn't get passed with his. Either way, he was happy about the way that it turned out. And I know it had to do with penalized players who are assessed for personal fouls and that kind of thing, or players that get ejected but not but don't accrue a penalty while they're ejected, something like that Sean Payton was instrumental in either getting passed or not passed. But there wasn't anything as earth-shattering to come out of the owners' meeting this year.
Yeah, which I think the only interesting point that I want to bring up in that, and I definitely, guys, go look at these rule changes, and I'm sure there'll be more information that comes out on it as we get closer to the start of the season. But the interesting one that wasn't even considered this year, after all the noise it got last year, was, were they going to ban the tush push? And from everything we heard, again, meetings behind closed doors, we don't know, but it sounded like the tush push was about to be disqualified as a player or whatever. And was it Travis Kelce stepped in and convinced like 2 owners to change their vote. So it was a really close and very contentious issue. And they didn't even consider it this year. So, I mean, to you, man, has the NFL or these owners just like, what? It is what it is. It's not worth a fight.
To me, the entire thing was started. It was started by a group of soft owners that had to play the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2024 regular season and playoffs. That was all it was from the start, and they tried to build up a player safety issue around it, and it got as much traction, the idea of banning it, that is to say, got as much traction in the 2024-25 offseason as it will ever get. And now the Eagles either don't have the personnel to execute it as well as they once did, or the teams have schemed a little bit better to stop it. Probably a combination of both. But I always thought and continue to think that it is just another evolution in NFL play calling and NFL play design, and it will get stopped at a certain point. Teams will figure out how to adjust to it, and we're seeing that now. It was never going to be like this play that every team does now and executes so well, and it's unstoppable. And Kevin, it's like we said it a million times during last year's pregame show before the Eagles game. If you want to stop the tush push, don't let the Eagles get into 3rd and 4th and 1 situations. And that's exactly what the Broncos did in their game. They didn't have to see the tush push the entire time, and I'm glad that it's a dead issue now.
Yep. Okay, I like it. And I think some other people, and maybe, if it ever came to a game between us and the Eagles where that did become an issue, right? Like the game was decided because of a tush push or something that, should have been offsides clearly or something, but wasn't called. And, okay, then I'm going to get a little more heated about it, right? But it hasn't affected the Broncos any. And it almost seems to be like, hey, we're fully capable of doing it. Why can't you guys either figure out how to stop it or get good at it yourselves? It's not like this is a new concept. It's been around for long enough that,
right.
One, why are we still talking about it? 2, like, just figure it out, but nobody has. So it's like, well, we'll just keep it going. Okay, let's do a quick halftime, guys. Let's see. First off, Bourbon Broncos, or that's it, Broncos and Bourbon.com. I got my own website wrong. Broncos and Bourbon.com, guys. Go sign up. Yes, go sign up. Adam has a weekly newsletter going out right now on the articles page over there, kind of filling you in and keeping you up to date with all the different information going on. There's also the one-stop shop homepage for all of our latest content, the videos, the shows, podcasts, all that good stuff and whatnot. So head on over there. Going to continue to build that out. And I keep saying that, but I need to actually start doing it. Just trying to find time, and that isn't as easy as I thought it would be. But anyway, going to continue to build that out as best I can, guys. So go sign up there. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and I don't know, MySpace, as Jared says. I think he's the one running it. I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm not sure what condition the MySpace page is in, but I'm going to trust him on it. So anyway, wherever you got social media, we're there. Find us and follow us, and just, hey, this is a open forum, guys. If you ever have anything that you want us to talk about or whatnot, send us a message, hit us up before the show, and just kind of let us know what topics you're interested in, and we can at least find time to touch base on that. So, this is a very interactive show, guys. So let us know ahead of time as well. But always good seeing you guys in the comments as well. Every Tuesday night, guys, we are live 7 p.m. Mountain Time with this show, Bourbon Broncos and No B.S. So make sure you head on over here. Grab your tacos. I know people are big on Taco Tuesday. Grab your dinner or whatnot, and head on over. Hang out with us. Have a good time. Talk some Broncos and everything else going on. David, we're like just a few weeks away from the draft.
Yeah, less than a month away.
Wow. Good question here. Dad, I'm going to shout him out. Boom. How you doing, man? When does the schedule come out? I think Jose mentioned it earlier. Was it May 13th? Jose, reading the minds of questions that were going to come our way. We didn't even know it yet. May 13th, we're supposed to find out. And interesting thing, Jose does bring up here in the international games. Apparently, all the potential international games we could have had this year got filled, except for the one where they haven't announced the game in Mexico City with the 49ers being the home team. Now, don't know. It didn't look like clickbait, but it kind of sounded like it could have been clickbait, where the 49ers kind of said that they decided that, they didn't want to play the Broncos in Mexico City because of the altitude. Mexico City, I think, is just as high as Denver, if not a little higher. I can't remember exactly, but it has a pretty high altitude. And, it was saying that the 49ers didn't want to give the Broncos an advantage of already being used to playing in high altitude, right? So I don't know, man, but I don't know if you heard of anything like that today, but either way, it sounds like that's the only chance for the Broncos to have an international game this year.
Well, not necessarily. I don't know that all the opponents for the international games are decided quite yet. But yes, it is true. The Broncos not playing in Mexico City this year for sure. And that, the Broncos do have a fairly large fan base in Mexico. So I would expect them to play that game eventually. I would not be super surprised if the NFL even put like a Broncos Raiders game in Mexico City someday. But it does look like this, at the very least this year, it's not going to happen. And whether they get put anywhere else internationally, I think there's still possibilities. But yeah, no Mexico City for Denver this year.
I mean, I get the international games, they have to happen. I know they're not popular with the players, but it's part of the game now, right? And I'm okay with it as long as the Broncos aren't the home team. I think that's just,
yeah.
In a league, it's not like the NHL, where they play these international games sometimes even, but it's like 3 or 4 games, but out of an 82 game season or 84, I can't remember. But like that's nothing. But when you only have 8 or 9 home games a year, and now you're going to lose one to being an international home team, like that hurts. That stinks,
Yeah, that's always a bummer. You hate to see that.
So we're going to have to wait and see about that. Now, question back here from Mike, and I'll kind of recap what I said last week, but then David, I want to get your point on it. Speculation that Stidham might be a trade candidate now that they've signed 𝐿inger for another year. My opinion on this. So again, last week, essentially, quick recap. My thought was, as Adam was asking me this very question, my initial response in my head, and it's not to say that I don't like Stidham anymore or anything like that, but like if we can get some good, capital out of him, if other teams really want him, like we could at least consider it. But then I remembered, David, that moment in time where I was sitting in the recliner here at home, just having got back from the monstrous win in the divisional round against the Bills there, and being on cloud 9. But then to see that message of our quarterback being hurt with it wasn't a minor injury, right? This thing required surgery. He had to be on the boot and wheel around and everything. And instantly I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to lose Stidham, and it's not to say that everything looks like Bo will be on track to start the season. They said he's even ahead of schedule, so he should be fine by OTAs. But Stidham knows the system, right? 𝐿inger doesn't. Stidham at least has some playing time. He knows these players better and whatnot. So I'm just of the opinion, David, no, we don't get rid of Stidham. We don't know exactly how Bo Nix is going to look. I'm going to believe that everything's going to be just fine. I'm going to believe that everything's just fine. But I'm going to keep Stidham as a safety net, man. What do you think?
I disagree. Because I remember, I remember that feeling that you're talking about with Bo Nix going out at the end of that AFC division game. And I remember, the Stiddy City movement and all that, and it was so cool, right? And then we got to the game, and the defense was able to hold the record-breaking New England Patriots offense with Drake May, MVP candidate, to 10 points. And Jarrett Stidham couldn't do beans in that game. And he, for all the hype and all the Stiddy City and all the we believe, we had nothing. We had no answers. And I am also not, so with Bo Nix being ready for OTAs as far as his injury goes, that really tells me, I have no concerns about him going into training camp. So I don't really need the veteran backup. As far as Stiddy knowing the playbook, he's been here 1 year longer than Sam ehlinger. 2 years,
Fair.
2 years longer. I'm sorry, 2 years.
I was gonna say,
there's that. But I don't perceive a skill difference enough between them at this point to where if somebody offers you honest to God draft capital for your backup quarterback, I think you just take it.
What would you be willing to take for it?
A 6th round pick.
Wow. Okay.
And
That's fair.
Broncos country, you're talking about a trade for your backup quarterback. You're not going to get a lot more than that. But so,
I
be
could
aware
see a
of the terms if
situation
you.
where, if there's a team there, quarterback goes down and their backup really isn't a true backup, right? Maybe all of a sudden another team's willing to pay a little bit more out of desperation, right? And still could be in that kind of situation. I know what Ehlinger was reached out to by the Colts when they found themselves in their situation before they signed Phillip Rivers to play, which we're going to look back on that memory, dude, 25, 30 plus years from now. And we're just going to say, like, what a good time that was. What a good time to have been in to see Phillip Rivers coming back and playing for the Colts. Oh, my God.
Oh, the Colts. From the team that brought you head coach Jeff Saturday.
Oh, man. Anyway, good memory there. Let's see. But, yeah, we'll see. I don't think the Broncos are looking to move Stiddy right now, though. No,
me neither.
It hasn't even been a question that's been asked of Mike Klis or any one of those guys that I've seen anyway. So it's not even something that anyone's discussing. And that tells me that it's not even worth it. So we're probably one of the only podcasts to be covering this in any depth. So moving on. Badoo. Let's see. Yeah, Michael says, I think it costs too much, James. Trade him if we get a 4th or 5th pick. 5th, yeah, definitely. And Mike says, sorry, never liked Phillip Rivers. I call him Phillip 𝐂𝐴 Rivers because he was always crying on field there. But anyway,
got him.
David, Jose here, question, and I think we can put this one to bed here. Rumors about AJ Brown, possibility to get him. I don't see that as a possibility, man. But are you hearing anything or thinking that's still a possibility?
No, I don't think the Broncos were really ever that deeply in on AJ Brown. I think that they had Jalen Waddle targeted a lot more highly, and I think that was always going to be their plan if they were going to trade for a playmaker. And I think maybe the Patriots will trade for AJ Brown, but I don't think the Broncos have spent all the draft capital they're going to spend on other teams' wide receivers this year. Yeah,
I think our wide receiver core is set. And it doesn't sound like we're looking to get rid of anyone. I'm excited for Pat Bryant, and really hoping that he's able to stay healthy because we saw how reliable he is, and he didn't have a ton of targets, but he also only had one drop all season long. And that's a guy that if he's like that as a rookie, you want to cultivate that. And, he could be, who knows where he's going to be in the next couple of years if he can stay healthy. But to see things like if we can fix the dropping problem and things like that, right, man? So there's a lot of things to look forward to here. Trying to switch gears here, I think mentally, I don't know where I was really going with that, to be honest with you, other than let's talk about the draft. Obviously with the Jalen Waddle thing, and there you go. That's where I was going with this. Not needing to go out and get any other wide receivers. Where are you thinking the Broncos are going to go now with the number 2 pick as their first pick of the draft?
Hard to say. It's going to depend on how the draft falls to them. I could really see them going, tight end, inside linebacker. I don't see them going running back unless they, one of guys, that's the thing. There's probably only going to be 3 or 4 running backs inside the top 100 players this season. And to me, it's going to be a little bit rich draft capital this year with a weak class. You've got so few picks to go with. And you picked a running back in the 2nd round last year. I think they're much more likely to go tight end or inside linebacker, both of which are deeper positions this year. But they could go offensive or defensive line. Defensive back is never out of the question with this team. They love to spend draft capital there. But those would be my positions kind of to keep an eye on. First would be tight end and inside linebacker. And then maybe they see Kevin, we haven't talked about at all. That we got the news today that Jonah Ellis, Broncos edge rusher Jonah Ellis, could be getting some snaps at inside linebacker this offseason. What do you think about that? To me, it says the Drew Sanders experiment is over. They're tired of waiting for that to turn out. I also think it says that they saw, they saw what I thought I saw last season, which was that Ellis was not as effective in his pass rush snaps as he was in his rookie year, and that he was not as effective as Q Robinson when Robinson was out on the field. I felt like Robinson flashed more consistently at that position last year. And it would be interesting to see if Ellis has the traits to move inside.
I think they're obviously indicating a lot of trust and the ability for these guys to, move into those positions, especially for Ellis, primarily here in this conversation. I think they obviously are recognizing there's a need there. But it's going to be interesting to see how that looks. And when they say some snaps, right, what is that? Is that 20%? Is that 40%? Right? Like how is he going to fit into that system?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're comparing that kind of news to the draft. Well, you could say we're probably going to go inside linebacker number 2 and have Ellis kind of be the stopgap this year, right? As we let the new guy learn. I don't know, but as a second round pick, you'd expect him to be on the field almost immediately, kind of a thing. At least your backup. So I don't know, but you could also say, well, then if they're going to make that move with Ellis, why would they go inside linebacker in the first round? Why not use that valuable position, since we didn't have a first rounder, to get a tight end? So, I could see the argument from both sides. It's just, it's really telling, because the other thing we've been clamoring for, like you said, is a tight end. And multiple years now. So I get the inside linebacker thing. I'm part of that, conversation every year as well, going, oh my God, we need to fix this problem. But we've also been saying the same thing about a tight end. And so if it is that truly that deep of a class, like, do you even consider moving up? But if there's a guy up there in the second round of the draft still that you want, do you also recognize, hey, we're in I say cup year because I'm thinking Avs. We're in a Super Bowl window year. Let's be aggressive. What do you think, David?
I don't see a trade up necessarily in their future. And to me, it's going to be for a similar reason that we didn't see them go that deep in free agency. They just really do like the roster that they have, and they are, I don't think they want to spend 2027 draft picks. I think a team like the Broncos specifically, the 2027 draft is right now on paper supposed to be one of those times that one of those drafts that's a lot more talent rich than the 2026 draft. And so I think you're going to see teams be really hesitant to pay significant 2027 capital to move up in the 2026 draft. So yeah, I don't expect the Broncos to make any kind of moves in that direction. Yeah.
Agreed. And, as my dad says here, I need to look at safety, get ready for a year from now. Roy, thanks for joining, Roy. Good to see you, man. Inside linebacker is traditionally the worst to draft in. It's definitely a tough one. I mean, you could say that about almost any position. It's like, you never know how they're really going to fully move over to the NFL speed and all that stuff. Ken says, can Q Robinson play inside? Thought he got some time there at Alabama. Quick answer there, David. What you got?
I'm not sure that he got any time at inside linebacker at Alabama. I know he was a spot pass rusher and more of a special teams player at Alabama. That was his dual role. I'm not sure why you would really want to try him at inside linebacker, given how well he played at edge every time he got a chance last year. No. So, I mean, I guess you could, but to be honest, I am a little bit more on board right now with the idea of trying Ellis there first and giving Robinson a few more of his pass rush snaps next year.
I like it. Okay, we're going to give our closing thoughts here in just a second, so don't go away. David is taking some classes. I hear you're learning how to make those underwater weave baskets, and you picked up a couple tips there. I heard that you could share in terms of helping us. So stick around, guys. You're going to want to hear these tips from David and his closing thoughts on the Broncos. It's always interesting to see what I'm going to come up with every night. I don't know. And that was, I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. But guys, again, every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, tune in for another episode of Bourbon Broncos No BS as we talk about the latest news from the Broncos. Cut through all the clickbait that you guys see online, try to figure out what's actually going on and being talked about, and give you guys a straightforward, at least opinion answers that we have. Because we're not experts, and that's okay. But we're glad you're here. We do this for you guys every week, and the draft's around the corner. So the conversations are going to be more primarily focused on the draft. And as we did as in the unofficial vote last week in the chat here, and I don't think, David, I've even put this in the chat here for other people, in our chat for other people to see. We'll be doing a live show during the second round of the draft, guys, up through the Broncos pick. So not expecting them to trade into the first round at all, really. So there is maybe a slight chance they move up in the second round, but as David said, and I agree with him, probably not. But make sure you join us for the second round of the draft on Friday night. I can't remember which, but it's that Friday night of the draft, and we'll be live then. So we'll see you all there. Okay, David, what you got for us, man?
Well, I'll tell you what had happened. I looked at the class registration form incorrectly. I read what I wanted to read. I thought that it was going to have more to do with figuring out ways to enjoy pots, specifically pot underwater instead of baskets. And so that being the case, I actually have learned several important techniques. However, guys, being the one who's paying for these underwater basket weaving classes, I can't just be giving that knowledge away for free.
That's fair.
So coming to the Bourbon Broncos and No BS network, guys, this summer we are going to have basket weaving tips with Team Puffball. It's going to be a weekly show. It's going to be only for paying subscribers to the website. So you are going to have to sign up for that. Tips and tricks that you will not learn anywhere outside of a classroom. Come to me and we will get you squared away.
David, thank you for playing along with my obnoxiousness. You always give the best answers, man. That's why I love calling on you and having to hear it. It's you always save me, because I didn't even know where you were going to go with that, but you turned it into a very worthwhile experiment. So anyway, closing thoughts about the tell me what you got about the Broncos as a closing thought, bud.
Really looking forward to the draft. This is going to be an interesting it's going to be really fascinating to see how this team has self-scouted and what kind of strategy they approach with. Do they really just go best player available because they think they have a strong roster? Do they chase needs in a draft where they don't have very many picks? It's going to be really, really fascinating to see.
Yeah, totally agree, man. So stick around, guys. There's going to be a whole lot more news and information coming out on that. I think the biggest takeaway, guys, that I want to hit on again was that news that came out yesterday that Bo Nix is ahead of schedule on his recovery, which is you couldn't ask for anything more, right? He's obviously doing everything he can, and then just I don't know, good genes or something like that, but he's healing in a really good fashion as well. So to not be worried that we're expecting him to be out there. Probably not going to see him at all during preseason, but that's fine. We know what he's capable of and expecting him to get even better this year. So he's not really going to have any kind of limited offseason or anything like that in terms of missing OTAs, any kind of workouts or anything like that. So get excited, guys. I know it's April as of tomorrow. Be on your guard for April Fool's jokes. If you're around me, you're going to get pranked somehow and it's going to be cheesy and lame, but I'm going to laugh and that's all I care about. So David, thanks for your help tonight, buddy. Good to have you on as always.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Everyone in the comments, good seeing you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back next Tuesday for another episode of Bourbon Broncos No BS. David, I got nothing left to say other than end this show as we always do with a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Take care, guys.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, 'cause I know I'm In the zone, here I go.